A gentlewoman will state her inquiry.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Speaker, if the final amendment that I'm offering here today were to be adopted, is it not the case that the bill will be amended and that the House will then proceed to final passage right away?
As the Chair stated on February 27th, 2002 and May 10th, 2012, if a motion to recommit with forthwith instructions is adopted, the amendment is reported by the Chair of the committee and is immediately before the House. Gentlewoman from Wisconsin is recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. This motion to recommit simply clarifies that the preservation of confidentiality to protect the victim's identity to avoid retaliation and even loss of life shall not be weakened as compared to current law. We have debated the need to expand this bill beyond what the author has put in, and we have lost that debate because the Rules Committee has put forth a closed rule, and we do not have the opportunity to present the Senate version of the bill, which passed overwhelmingly in the Senate, 68-31, and so lost that battle for the Violence Against Women Act to include all women. But in this motion, we are simply trying to reestablish one little sliver, one little piece in this bill that we're hoping that the majority will recognize will greatly enhance the safety of all women. This motion simply protects the victim's identity to avoid retaliation and even the loss of life, and make sure it's not weakened as compared to current law. Now, we're going to be told that the manager's amendment does that, but it does not. Under current law, abused women are able to seek help and come forward to authorities under the condition of confidentiality. But H.R. 4970 as amendment does many things, a couple of things. For example, it delays the protection for battered victims by staying adjudications before pending investigations or prosecutions are completed. It creates a negative inference against the victim if law enforcement did not open a formal investigation or if prosecutors failed to prosecute the perpetrator. It creates a negative inference. I can tell you that notwithstanding the due process rights of abusers, current law provides a very delicate balance between the due process rights of abusers and the confidentiality of those accusers. The fact that the bill was amended in this way re-stimulates me to remember an incident in my own life where the bet of rights was tipped in favor of the abuser. I'm reminded of a time that I got into an automobile, a man I thought was a personal friend, to go get some fried chicken, and he pulled in behind some vacant buildings, raped me, choked me almost to death. And when I went to the hospital, I was encouraged by an advocate. This was in the 1970s, long before there was a Violence Against Women Act, long before there was a Rape Shield Act. And I took him to court, and indeed I was on trial. Because this bill, just like what I experienced, was where I had to prove as a victim that I was not being fraudulent in my accusations. Oh, they brought up how I was an unwed mother with a baby. Maybe I seduced him. They talked about how I was dressed, and they carried me through all kind of bureaucratic hoops and changes, and ultimately he was found to be not guilty, although I had done everything that I was told to do in terms of prosecuting this. I cannot stress the solemn nature of this issue. You know, it doesn't surprise me that she had the cell phone in her hand, but she lost her life because she couldn't escape this man. It doesn't surprise me that she was shot 4 times behind the police station, because the most dangerous time for a woman is when she is trying to escape her perpetrator, when she's trying to do something about it. She is trying to turn her life, hers and her children, around. And when the perpetrator is given the tools that this bill gives him to have abuse rights prevail over the rights of the victim, she will have the cell phone in her hand, but she will lose her life anyway because she cannot escape this man. The manager's amendment does not fix this. We have heard from 325 groups and organizations who oppose this bill and say that the manager's amendment does not fix it.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
The Speaker for her indulgence, and I urge my colleagues to support my amendment, and I yield back.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida rise?
I oppose the motion.
The gentlewoman from Florida is recognized